Castlevania is one of the longest-running series in Konami's lineup, and it's certainly one of the longest-running series on Nintendo's various systems. While it started out as a fairly simple action platformer, it's transformed into a series with some more RPG elements after a few games. Now, for better or for worse, it's stayed this way ever since. As these games finally made their way to the Game Boy Advance, we'd get a chance to see Castlevania in the palm of our hands. Eventually, Konami re-released 2 of these games in one pack. This is the first game of the Castlevania Double Pack, Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance. Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance features a fairly traditional Castlevania story. It stars a member of the Belmont family, this one's named Just, and he goes deep into Dracula's castle after a short encounter with death. Like I said, it's pretty standard as far as Castlevania games go, but we have to be honest with ourselves here. Is that really such a bad thing? Change can be good, but sometimes we just want something that we already know and love. Harmony of Dissonance features gameplay similar to the earlier games in the series. You'll be jumping away from enemies, swinging your whip, throwing items, and, like recent Castlevania games, leveling up. However, there are a few changes that make it a little bit more unique. I'm very familiar with Super Castlevania 4, and the one thing that led to a lot of challenge in that game was falling through holes in the floor. But Harmony of Dissonance doesn't tend to have these. Instead, they're actually so the player can explore the whole castle. This exploration actually leads to the majority of the challenge, as the combat in the game isn't all that difficult. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of this element of the game, as I prefer for the challenge to come from relentless enemies. This really is a personal preference though, and if you like exploration, you might like this aspect more than I did. The best part of Harmony of Dissonance is actually the extra mode, Boss Rush. This mode lets the player fight against every single boss in order, basically eliminating the fact that I didn't especially like or care for the exploration. I'd like to thank the person who owned this game before me as well, as I'm pretty sure that this mode would not have been unlocked if he or she didn't already play through it. Visually, I was expecting a little bit more from Harmony of Dissonance. It isn't bad by any means. In fact, a lot of the movements and level designs look pretty good. However, as the Game Boy Advance is a 32-bit system, I was expecting the game to look better than its 16-bit cousin, and it's pretty much identical. Audio is excellent, and the game uses an awesomely creepy soundtrack to enhance the atmosphere that we've all come to know and love. Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance is a solid entry in the Castlevania franchise. While I wish that the emphasis was more on the combat than exploration, everything is executed so well that I don't mind as much. It's also only one of 2 games on the same cartridge. Make sure to check back for the second part of this review, covering Castlevania Area of Sorrow.